All right, everyone. I am ending our week with a super strong interview. Now, we got a super show for all of you today. But first of all, a lot of you have asked me, why have I covered some of these nuisance streamers like Vitali or Johnny Somali? It's because, first of all, I don't like what they're doing as content creators. It's not free speech. I am pro First Amendment. And look, I'm politically homeless. I have no party I belong to. I don't care if you're left, right, or center. Everyone's entitled to free speech. What you're not entitled to do is hurt and harass people. Now, I have friends and family members that have either lived in Japan, did work in Japan, or other countries. And, I've had the privilege of being to Japan twice. It was a beautiful country, still is to this day. But what's bringing everything down is the toxicity, the criminal activity of nuisance streamers. And we need people to stand up. Now, Harlan's Media is doing its small part. And this is close to my heart because, again, I don't like seeing people or women, children, men, elderly being harassed by influencers whose egos are so gigantic that it's not well deserved at all. And in turn, think about if that was your mother, your aunt, your sister, your cousin, your brother, your nephews. If somebody was threatening to rob them or making horrific remarks, and I got to be careful because of the YouTube guidelines here, but you understand what I'm talking about. And so there are people like Legal Mindset and Atozi who have done a phenomenal job, as well as so many others. Apologies if I'm missing them. Shout out to 15 Minutes of Shame, the YouTube channel Mist, all of them who are speaking out. But it also takes a lot of courage to step up and confront these bullies, most notably Vitali, who is, well, he's in the Philippines. He's going to be there for quite some time. So joining us here, and he's made the time out of his day to join us. I want to give him a proper introduction. Eriq Cabrera of Unlock Philippines. He's the gentleman, the outstanding individual that confronted Vitali. So first time joining our show all the way from the great country of the Philippines. Eriq, thank you so much. For everyone who doesn't know, here's your channel so everyone can see it firsthand. All the social media links are in there. I encourage everyone to follow him, do the right thing. But Eriq, it's first time here on the show. Please introduce yourself to my viewers and subscribers. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I understand you're in the tech business, you're an entrepreneur, and you're actually founding a business in the Philippines. So let's just get a short introduction. We can go into more details.
Hi guys, so my name is Eriq Cabrera and I moved here to the Philippines, specifically Manila, a little over 2 months ago. I got here February 25th. So I moved here to go ahead and realistically, it was more of a financial decision because we can outsource work to the locals. However, I did move here just because America was getting, a little bit on the expensive side for me. So being out here on my income there has bought me quite a bit more time, which allowed me to work on my software that I've been building for around a year now. And during my stay here, that's when the Vitali situation happened while he was, trying to come here and mess with some people, which is what a lot of people have seen. So I'm 27 years old, and currently I've been working on some AI software, which we'll get into at some point today. But I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I know a lot of people want to talk about Vitali, and look, we're going to save that there because I think it's important for us to understand the person who you were before you did that viral showdown with Vitali. So you're in tech, so let's talk about it because obviously AI is going to play a significant role in our lives. Technology is, whether you like it or not, it's here. It's going to be intertwined with us. Pretty soon, we're all going to be cyborgs. Maybe not. I don't know. But explain to us, like, okay, you are originally from Las Vegas, so Viva Las Vegas. Shout out to all my people in the great state of Nevada who are doing the grind. So you're from Vegas. What made you want to go to the Philippines? You obviously talk about how things got expensive here in America, but it takes a lot of courage to lift up your camp and go all the way across the Pacific Ocean to the Philippines. What caused that? What made you look at the Philippines as an area in which to set up a new life and a new business?
So this isn't actually my first rodeo in Asia. I originally in 2023, and this is my first time even on a plane. I flew out to Thailand and I stayed there for
Okay.
3 months. I started another channel while I was out there called Unlock Thailand, and that one, I realized that I really enjoyed just showing people around, and that one received some love from the people that wanted to learn about visiting Thailand, specifically Pattaya City.
Mhm.
And so, why I came out here, though, I have a good friend of mine. He's like a brother to me, and he is one of my investors. He suggested Manila. He said, I've heard a lot about Manila. A lot of people, they outsource their work in the tech world here. And so originally he wanted me to come out here and kind of check it out, almost like a boots on the ground situation. And I was able to receive a little bit of funding to come out here with the purpose of teaching some of the locals how to develop using AI systems and to just see what it was about. So that's what I'm currently doing while I'm here.
Yeah, and obviously, it is quite clear, that adapting to a new culture, a new people, and understanding the laws of the land. I think that's priority one. Understanding the laws of the land. What was like the biggest culture shock when you moved there to the Philippines? Because obviously, you got jet lag, you got to unpack everything, but then there's that moment of, oh, this is how this show is going to be going down. Was there any kind of
Right.
moment of shock or realizing like, okay, this is how I have to adapt now because I'm not in the USA anymore?
Um, to be quite honest with you, it is still a developing country. And so
Hmm.
outside of the nice areas in BGC, the
Hmm.
infrastructure, it's rather old in infrastructure. So a lot of the buildings, they're kind of falling apart a little bit, and they are
Right.
working on that. But first things first, off the flight, one, it's really hot. So you got to get used to that. You can't wear something like this outside. Uh, so just besides the weather, I would say the biggest thing to get used to is the fact that outside of the very well off areas, you do have extreme poverty. And so, seeing that, if you haven't been exposed to that before, it
Yeah.
really is something to navigate. But the biggest thing I would say is all the people that are there, they're just people. They're not going to rob you if you walk up to them. I mean, don't be stupid. Don't be carrying around expensive stuff, just like how you know,
Yeah.
you would watch your back in certain areas, kind of be a bit calculated. But biggest culture shock to me is that, again, outside of those areas, it is, you know, um, living circumstances have declined. And so there is, in between when you get to the airport and the fancy part of the city,
Mhm.
there's that. And so if you're
Right.
not used to it
Right.
or expecting that, that hit me pretty hard.
Right, and it's evidently clear that in order to you make a name for yourself and to do all of that, you have to work with the Filipino government too, obviously, because you're setting up a business there with technology and AI. And so, what are some of the things that stand out in regards to looking at the innovation of technology and how it can improve our lives? Because you mentioned you said you're an entrepreneur, and I think it's important for us to look at, okay, you have you have this new frontier and there's a lot of potential for growth there, and we all know about Japan and South Korea, how they have, like, again, huge investment into technology. Is this something that the government of the Philippines is looking to advance and interconnect its country? Because obviously they're the Philippines, there's a lot of islands that make up the Philippines, of course. So is there like an initiative on that, or is it something else completely different that they're trying to do there?
Well, there was just an election here. So,
Right.
speaking of, some of the people that I work with here, they
Hmm.
really want to take AI and they want to present it in front of the politicians here and
Hmm.
start spreading that word. Um, so I'm currently in talks to start planning some initiatives for everybody to kind of start exploring the AI sector here. There isn't many people spearheading that specifically because in the past, the Philippines was really famous for like their call centers. And
Hmm.
even as we speak right now, it is 10:15 p.m. here in the Philippines, and a lot of people, they're just heading to work right now because they work that American time zone and they are in the call centers. So they haven't quite switched over to AI yet, but that's
Well, wait,
also
wait, wait.
why I'm here.
I am so sorry. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I apologize. I want you to continue on. You're saying right now people are it's 10:15 over there and they're working American time zone right now for the call center.
Yeah. So in BGC, which is like where all of the big buildings are, here at this
Okay.
time of night, on a Friday night, you have two sets of people. You have all the people going out to the club to party, and then you have people who are dressed up in their blazers and they're walking into work, about to clock in for their shift. They work overnight so that they can align with when people are making their customer service calls in the States. And that's something I didn't know until maybe 3 weeks into living here. Because I said, why am I seeing so many people dressed smart or business casual at this time of night? And my friend explained to me that's when they clock into work and they work all night till the morning. It's like a graveyard shift here.
Wow. Oh, wow. I had no idea something like that was going down. Has there been talk of like that ending? Because I mean, everyone's got their smartphones now set to Scam Likely. In fact, I think while we were interviewing right now, Scam Likely was calling me. I mean, but then again, like that's rather interesting that that's happening. Is there any talk about that reversing? Because clearly is that people's like main livelihood? Is that one of the main jobs there? Because looking at the economic situation in the Philippines, you say it's developing. What's the leading, I guess, career choice there, or careers that are there in the Philippines?
I mean, any career that is outsourced to a country like America, where the locals get hired by an American corporation or,
Hmm.
potentially European corporations because of the pay. And I'll be honest, a lot of them, they work 40 hours a week out here. I had a friend who I met, and they work 40 hours at a minimum. Sometimes
Wow.
that can go up to 60 hours per week, and they are making anywhere between $600 to $800 American per month. So well below, even the minimum wage where I'm from in Las Vegas, which equates to closer to 2 grand a month for
Mm,
40 hours a week. So people
wow.
here, that money, it does stretch a lot farther here in the Philippines. However, that puts me in a position where when I come to this country, even if I wanted to pay somebody, say they're making $600 a month, even if I wanted to pay them double that, which is unheard of, if I pay them double that, I'm still paying less than what I would pay one person in the States. And I think that's
Wow.
fair.
Wow. Obviously it is interesting seeing the culture shock there, and the Philippines being a developing nation. But your YouTube channel is Unlock the Philippines, and I think there's a lot of people who don't really understand like the differences between, because to be clear, there has to be differences between different islands, the people, the culture.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're setting up a YouTube channel, and obviously doing a YouTube channel, it's way different than what your main source of income is, which is, again, you have your tech business, AI development. But what are one of the things you want to share with the international audience who will be, because YouTube's available in most countries, of course, but what are the big takeaways you want people to see as an American visiting the Philippines? What do you hope that people will learn?
Well, one, um, it's really not hard to make a difference here. There's a ton of places in all of my videos on my channel. I like to do something where I'll go somewhere I haven't been. I like to show contrast between the uh, overly developed and kind of posh areas, and then I like to go into an area that's way underdeveloped. And in those
Hmm.
areas, you would be so surprised what a difference you can make for a bunch of people for the equivalent of what you spend on coffee in the morning in the States. So, like
Hmm.
$17 American, we were able to grab candy for a whole little neighborhood, basically. And stuff like that. If you're visiting, I would say look into little acts of kindness you can do for the people that aren't in your position while you're visiting, and try to learn the culture because they are extremely welcoming here in Asia.
Hmm.
Another thing I would say for anyone considering visiting, don't be scared. Everyone here, they're just people like you and me, and it can be intimidating. Personally, I'm always encouraging my friends from the States to come out and visit me. And I tell them, I'll book your ticket, I'll help you get your passport. And you just get this fear and resistance. And it's like, look, there is so much out there outside of the place you grew up. And I encourage everyone, like, book a flight, take some time off work if you're in the position to do so, and go explore the world.
You know what? I will. I will say, hey, I like to be your friend. I would like to go ahead and check out the Philippines because I've actually got some kind messages from people from the Philippines when, and I want to save them for a little bit later, when I mentioned or did coverage on Vitali, and the outpour of support that I got, like saying thank you for calling this guy out, and yes, we're very kind here. We don't like this. I was so surprised that there was such generosity and such, compassion and people being grateful. And I know that people were grateful to you and then to Atozi and to Legal Mindset for even, standing up to somebody like Vitali, because there's a thing. There's people like you who want to go there, do good things, try and set up a business, uh, enjoy the country for however long you could be there for. And obviously, are you there for like a year, 2 years? Well, what's your stay looking like in the Philippines?
At a minimum, I will be here just over a year, and obviously, if things go well with the launch, that'll uh, extend. Realistically, I'm a very nomadic type of person, so I
Mm-hmm.
like to have little bases set up all over and kind of bounce between. So ideally, I would like to be able to come here when I need to, go back to the States, and eventually, I do like Thailand as well. I want to check out Singapore and some of the surrounding countries here. So
Right. All right. Okay. So, and again, that's great, but there is the problem though, and here's I think where we have to address the horrible side of living overseas, being an expat, or um, you know, being a tourist. You have the ugly tourist. You have now the rise of these influencers, and you know, I'm trying to figure out like really why anyone who would have the privilege of going overseas would do content like Johnny Somali, Vitali, Ice Poseidon, doing content and just harassing people who open their doors, their business, their homes, their places of worship, their cultural landmarks. And instead, what they do is they get spit on, they get harassed. And I think it's an interesting case study into online consumership and what people want to see. And unfortunately, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and yes, we are live on YouTube and Kick right now, but there seems to be this growing crop of these clones of the people I mentioned before who just want to go there and cause harassment. Um, as someone who lives in the Philippines right now, how has that made your situation and others like yourselves difficult? Because clearly, when you pull out your smartphone and maybe take a photo or maybe take a phone call, there's going to be that one person raising an eyebrow, wondering, "Oh, are you going to do something?"
yeah, so I do like to live stream every once in a while. Like I'll sit at a coffee shop, and the fact that the YouTube channel grew to about 33,000 subscribers or so in 1 month,
Congratulations.
which is, yeah, that is really awesome. So the fact that that happened, I feel like with that platform, I do like to connect with my viewers every once in a while. And when I am live streaming, one of the things here that you do have to deal with now after these nuisance streamers is that these countries are now putting into effect that you have to get permits in order to live stream, in order to film, in order to use equipment publicly. If you're not being super obnoxious with it, you can kind of go ahead and um, film as you wish, but there's certain parts of the city that if you go into and you're holding a camera, they will stop you and ask you now if you have a permit. And it was not like
Yeah.
that 2 months ago when I got here. So it has been affecting, on a logistics standpoint, how to go ahead and make content. So it makes it harder on the other content creators that aren't harassing people.
Right.
And then even just from a tourism standpoint, there are people that, they'll look at foreigners visiting the country, and now in the back of their head they're going, what's this guy's intentions? Are they going to come here and harass? And I think it's absolutely pathetic. It's scraping the bottom of the barrel of content creation. I mean, you'd probably be better off banging your head into a brick wall. I think
Yeah.
more people would prefer to see that at that point, but
Mhm.
these guys do realize that over the years, the internet has just become this spot where people are becoming way more desensitized. And what I think is going on is they want more. You know, it's
Hmm.
the same stuff that this guy was doing 10 years ago, or all of these guys. It's not. It doesn't pack a punch. We've seen it all. So
Hmm.
as the internet gets older and older, and there's every type of content that's been put out there, these guys are trying to make shock content, and unfortunately they did realize that culturally, if you go somewhere where there is nice people, these guys think that they can go ahead and take advantage of that. And that's, you know, realistically, it makes my blood boil. And it's not just happening here. But the
Hmm.
thing is they don't have the cojones to do it in the States. And it's like, you know, you
Right.
wouldn't get away with that if you tried it back home in Vegas, or in California, or anywhere really. Um,
Try
and
taking a
so
cop's
that's not
gun in
here.
Chicago. You won't stand a chance. I didn't mean to cut you off here,
Yeah,
but
you're
like,
done.
yeah, I mean, if you do that to a cop in Chicago, look, as a four-generation person living in Chicago, my parents taught me well. My grandparents taught me well. Don't mess with the CPD. Okay, there you go. It's as simple as that. And it is rather sad that that has affected so much. So let's actually address what caused you to step up, because what you did was you followed Vitali. For those who don't know who Vitali is, YouTuber who's been around since the beginning, 10 million subscribers, did pranks, um, was top of the walk one day, had major crash outs, reinvented himself on Kick by confronting, I guess, scumbags who want to abuse kids. But then again, there's been some legality issues surrounding that. Had another crash out, and then flew to the Philippines to be, I guess, a nuisance streamer and harassing security guards, police officers, old women, women who are just going to work. And it was getting to a point to where it was just getting ridiculous. And just before his arrest, you confronted him live on his Kick stream. So what was that thing that made you snap? You're like, all right, I'm gonna find this guy and confront him, because it's one thing to say things behind a keyboard. It's another thing to be like, all right, you're over there. I know where you're at. I'm gonna confront him. Let's start from the beginning. What caused this showdown?
Honestly, it builds up over time. Like over the years, you've seen a lot of these people start popping up, and one of which, and again, I know you shouted them out, but the channels like Atozi and Legal Mindset, I've been following them for a while. They make good content. They cover this stuff really deeply and thoroughly on their channel. So when I saw what Johnny Somali was doing, and this is months ago, you know, November of last year, I'm
Mhm.
watching this unfold, and I just, you know, this little thought goes, what if I was there, you know, like, and you think, what would I like to do to that person if they were in proximity to me? And it's not a pretty picture, to be honest. But um so when I'm here in the Philippines, and I had already followed the Johnny Somali stuff, just because it's these guys are speed running, not only ruining their lives for a little bit of money and a little bit of clout, but um it's interesting to see, you know, the government themselves in those countries are actually adapting things to deal
Yeah,
with this new type of crime, and the punishments are becoming harsher and harsher.
exactly.
So here in the Philippines, you know, I'm sitting at home, and an Atozi video drops, and it is, you know, following along with uh, this kind of bender that Vitali was on, going and harassing people. And I recognized where he was because, you know, I'm getting used to the city. I'm checking it out. And I realized,
Hmm.
hey, this guy is 10 minutes away from where I live. And I just thought to myself, you know, all this time I'm sitting here watching this. It pisses me off. I want to say something about it. These people need to know that they shouldn't go around doing that. And, you know, there's people that'll stand up to them. And so I decided to, you know, hunt the guy down. I'll be honest, I didn't bump into him on accident. I was watching his stream. I
Oh,
found
you
out
were
where he
hunting.
was. I got in. Oh yeah, yeah. So I had originally went to, he was eating at like Wolfgang's Steakhouse here, and I went there first. So he leaves right before I get there. It kind of sucked. I was like, all right. So then I leave that because he went into his apartment. I was like, I'm not gonna bother him there. So I go and I'm walking around, and that's the cool thing about the Philippines as well, is like you can just explore aimlessly within reason and you'll find some cool spots. So I find this French bistro. I meet another American who's smoking a cigar. We sit down, we have a cigar, we're talking about it. And then I go home for the evening. And right before I was about to go home, I said, let me check and see if this guy's out and about again. And I pulled out my phone and I saw that he was at a bar that is literally across the street from my house. So that's when I, ordered
Ah.
my Grab, which is the equivalent of an Uber. And I went to his location for the specific purpose of confronting him.
Right. And so then, and look, I played the video before on my show, but you went there and you said you live in front of his audience, even trying to tell them like, hey, you guys are better than this. You don't have to consume this content. Um, and it's been over a month now. Because you did that in April, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah, I believe it
Okay.
was um, or it was the last day of March. It was the night of.
Oh,
So
oh,
April
night
1st
of.
was the day after here. So yeah,
Yeah. So close to April Fool's Day because Vitali's a fool. So when you confronted him, he was trying to explain to you that he did good, like giving money out to people and giving out to charities. But it's one thing to say, "Hey, I'm giving money," then you kick somebody in the balls and be like, "Oh no, I'm still a good person. I'm giving them money." What was his overall tone, his body language? Because look, in my opinion, it looked like he was on something. In my opinion, it looks like he constantly subjects himself to stimulants or something of that nature. Um, what do you recall, like with Vitali, speaking with you? Because he sounded scared almost in a way, in my opinion, when you uh, when you went toe to toe with him. He seemed like he lost a lot of his mojo and his confidence. You burst his bubble.
so first I'd like to kind of point out, a lot of people have asked me, why'd you approach him so respectfully at first? I walked up to him. I wasn't aggressive. And the thing is I've worked in sales a long time and I do understand, body language and kind of how to open up a conversation with someone. And when first approaching someone, if you want to have a conversation, you can't just, immediately be like, go F yourself, I hate you. So
Mhm.
I tried giving the guy the benefit of the doubt, and I really wanted him, I wanted to understand more, like, why are you doing this? How come you're not showcasing the good stuff that you're doing? What are you doing here that's even positive? And, let's have a conversation about it. And so his body language at first is like this almost manic body language where
Wow.
completely disconnected from reality. He's, um, what's the word when somebody is unpredictable, sporadic in their
Yeah.
behavior. And
Yeah.
so he
Sporadic.
was
Okay.
really all over the place. And obviously, we can speculate all day on, if he was on any sort of substances. However,
Yeah.
I will say, um, in the jail, he has been experiencing arrhythmia. So that could be a side effect of, a cold turkey detox from whatever he was on.
Yeah.
So in terms of his body language and how he was acting was exactly that, just unpredictable, very cocky, very manic, and
Hmm.
kind of like this god complex. He said, I do whatever the f I want. And
Right.
I will give him, the tiniest amount of credit for helping getting some predators off the street. However, I don't think his intentions behind that were good. I think it's just,
No.
uh, if you're a POS and you find something that you can do good, that doesn't outweigh all of the
Right.
bad stuff that you're doing, uh, to contradict that. So
Yeah, and to be very clear here, folks, because we'll be flying into murky waters here. But in regards to Vitali, before he went to the Philippines with his Kick channel, some of those arrests. I mean, there are people who do dedicate their lives to stopping predators, which I have to say, shout out to a lot of those good people who are doing that. The way Vitali was doing it raises a lot of red flags and questions in regards to the authenticity and I guess, how sincere he was in really doing it instead of just, making ridiculous content. Because in my book, if you're going to do that, get the local authorities, get them arrested. Don't do embarrassing things. Just, hey, all right, handcuffs on them. Bye bye. I mean, that's one and done. You don't have to do anything more than that. Just one and done. Get them arrested. So you confronted him, and then when he started saying to you that if you ever put your hands on me, I'm going to punch you. Now that sounds like somebody who was scared. He sounded very afraid when he said that to you, and you said, "No, you're not going to do anything to me," to which he never did. He backed away. He was the one who backed away. You were the one that still stood your ground. When he was saying that to you, was that just him just trying to escape and run away, or because that says so much about his character and how he wants to portray himself as this tough guy? Because we've seen videos of him bullying people in the States, and yet when you were there, you weren't one of his targeted victims.
Right. So, and real quick, I will say a great example of how to do, cleaning up the streets from the predators is Chris Hansen did it right, all
Mm-hmm.
those years. So that's kind of a contrast. So, as far as him trying the intimidation thing, our conversation started off regularly, and then midway through it, I tapped him on his shoulder and I said, "Have a good night, stay safe." That was exactly what I said out of my mouth, and it wasn't even aggression, but immediately he says, "Don't put your hands on me or I'm going to knock you the F out."
Right.
And I smiled at him because it's like, first of all, I'm just as large as he is. In fact, I'm a little taller and I weigh more than he is. And you can take all the substances you want. I'm a big boy and I know how to throw my weight around. I've been boxing since I was a kid. My boxing coach, Ali'i, he actually reached out to me, and he had some really encouraging words after the situation. But I was bullied when I was a kid. And so anytime you're face to face with a bully, it's like, look, when I was a kid, the other kids that would bully me, yeah, they could get away with it. But now I'm a grown ass man. And
Yeah.
realistically, never, I don't care who the person is, you're not going to intimidate me. Not like that. And that's why I looked at him and I said, I guarantee you're not going to knock me out. Because it's like, you can tell when someone has heart. You can tell when someone has that fire inside of them, and he didn't have it. I didn't smell anything on him in terms of courage. It was like talking to a wet noodle. So, no, I was not intimidated by him. And so I did tell him my whole goal with that was to get him to stop streaming, go home and think about it, like reflect. And that is what happened. He stopped the stream after that interaction. He went home and he hid like a little girl. And then he was arrested promptly the next day. And so I accomplished what I set out to do. And obviously, when he pointed his camera in my face, I realized there's a lot of people probably going to see this. And so I did take the opportunity to just tell people, like, why are you even watching this guy? And the thing is, these streamers, they don't understand, your audience doesn't love you. Half of your audience wants to see you get beat up. They
Or
want to
yeah.
see you get hurt. They want to see you maybe even worse than that. And they're watching you because they're just waiting for that implosion. And, it is entertainment for them, but I wanted to tell them, go do something productive. Why are you giving this guy attention?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more things out there that I think people can focus on, at least in terms of live streaming. And you do have the platforms that do promote that, like Kick, unfortunately, and it seems to be that they pay the most when it comes to harassing people online, which isn't good for them. And so
Yeah.
I think that they should be putting more things into place that monitor that. And but money is a hell of a drug for a lot of people.
And so is the clout and I guess building a name for yourself and harassing people. So obviously Vitali did the dumbest thing ever, and that is do his nuisance streaming while there was an election taking place, and even having the sitting president of the country do a reaction video, which is by
Yeah.
far the craziest thing I've ever saw. Where you have the commander in chief of the Philippines looking at that, and then in turn, Vitali is going to be in jail. He's not. His trial hasn't even set up for 2 to 3 years. And of course, I think there might be some consequences happening to the cameraman. Maybe, I mean, that's still a big question of what's going to happen with that scenario. And there's been reports that he was arrested, but I saw recently that he did some Kick live streams already, so that calls into the veracity of that reporting, which is why I didn't talk about it. But
Right.
is there a point right now, seeing where Vitali is at, and we had the parody account Johnny So Smalley recently posted, and even Legal Mindset talked about it. That Vitali's going through withdrawals, that he's puking, that he's crapping his pants while in a Filipino prison. Do you have any sympathy for him? Is there a point where it's like, I'm sorry for this guy. I wish it's
I
not
don't.
happening to him. No. Oh, okay. Care to elaborate? Care to elaborate? Because you know,
Not
I mean,
a little bit.
well, go ahead.
And here's why. I think that when you're in a position like that and this isn't his first rodeo, ignorance wasn't bliss. He knows that that's his whole thing, pranking people and upping the ante. And it's like, look, if you live by the sword, you die by it too. You want all that attention and you want to humiliate people and you want to take advantage of people. Karma is going to come beat the hell out of you really swiftly. And unfortunately, you don't get to pick when that happens. And he picked a really bad time. Like you said, he picked a time when uh, political tides were shifting here in the Philippines, and now he's going to be made an example out of. And to be honest, no, I don't feel bad for him at all. It's like, look, everybody knows, well, maybe not everyone, but me personally, when I was learning about these countries before I came here, the one thing I was very afraid of was accidentally breaking a law that I didn't know about. Like in Thailand, there's tons of interesting random laws that if you break it, you'll be sitting in, not a great spot. Their jails out here are brutal. And so to come here and act like everyone else's NPCs and you're playing a video game, I just think it's so disrespectful. And no, I don't feel bad for him at all. I think he's intelligent enough to know right from wrong. And this is the stuff that you learn when you're a child. And so apparently, he never learned how not to be a POS or so. There are people, they ask me a bunch. They're like, do you think 24 years is good or bad for him? I won't speak on that. What I will say is the more you F around, the more you find out. And it's not up to you. When you go to another country and you want to mess around, you don't get to call the shots after you get in trouble. So just stay out of trouble and be respectful.
Mm-hmm. So now what happens forward? What do you want to say to people who might be afraid to maybe go to the Philippines? Because obviously you have all of this, drama with Vitali. I mean, what happens now? Because obviously there's going to be people, and it's very clear to me that there's going to be people who want to be the clone copies to Vitali or Ice Poseidon or Somali. But there's a I believe that the world's filled with good people. That's just my opinion, and sometimes I've been proven wrong about good people and bad people and everything else. But, there's a lot of people who want to visit these countries. What do you want to say to people who are just maybe sitting on the fences thinking, should I go? I don't want people to look at me bad. Maybe it's best I just stay here. What do you want to say?
Speaking for the Philippines, they're still extremely welcoming. Anyone coming here, they're always willing to show you around. They're willing to give you the shirt off their back. Just the other day, I made a video where I went to, it's called a barangay, and it's the equivalent of a a very long alley, and there's tons of people that live in there. And on the outside, it's super intimidating. But I got to tell you, I have not had that much fun going to the clubs, going to the fancy spots as I did, just hanging out with some of the locals. The kids were shooting 3-pointers on me, playing street ball, and it's all in that video. But they're extremely welcoming here, and as long as you are not acting like an idiot and taking advantage of them, uh, the way I explain it is and I've found that this actually is almost universal here in Asia. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever you pour into the people, they give back to you tenfold. So if you're going to come here and mess with them, you're going to get it back tenfold. But if you come here with good intentions and you put that out, you will get it back tenfold. So that's my word of advice for the people that are on the fence. Maybe check yourself and go, what are your intentions? If your intentions aren't good, then yeah, stay the hell away from here. But if you're looking to just check out a place where you don't maybe have as much financial pressure as back home, or you
Mhm.
want to go somewhere for a vacation, or maybe even look for a new home, the people here absolutely will help you do that. And not only that, but there is a ton of other foreigners here as well. And so if you're trying to make friends from any of the other countries, I mean, you can just leave the house and walk around and meet really kind people here. So I would say that there isn't that much tension towards foreigners in general. However, it just depends on how you're conducting yourself and carrying yourself on a daily basis out here. If you have good intentions, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you're trying to, potentially copycat the guys who are being nuisances, then yeah, I would say you might want to think twice before doing so.
So one of my viewers says, "What's Eriq's channel?" It's called Unlock the Philippines. And everyone, first of all, everyone that's tuning in right now, whether you're watching us on X, Kick, Rumble, or YouTube, can I please get a mandatory thumbs up? Yes, I'm saying mandatory thumbs up for Eriq because he's in the Philippines right now. Now, I have relatives and people I know who live in Japan and South Korea. Okay, I got people who I know who live over there. Okay, it's late over there, so let's get some thumbs up for this guy. All right, again, Unlock Philippines. All right, Eriq. First of all, thank you so much for our viewers and subscribers for being on our show. I would love to have a follow-up interview. I know you're doing a lot of stuff, work with your business and setting up your channel, but is there anything you quickly want to promote, any kind of event that's taking place so that people can hear it in the States, be it in my home city, Chicago, or wherever else my audience lives in the country or around the world? What do you want to promote real quick? Because I want to make sure that, look, you're one of the good people. And I spoke to Eriq before we went live. You were talking about the lows and highs, peaks and valleys. And right off the bat, 10 minutes talking before we went live, you sound like my kind of guy, a good person who's doing the right thing. So I want to give you a chance to promote whatever's going on, to let us know. So if there's any way we could show some solidarity and support, uh, let my people know.
All right. So um, when I moved here, we had a ton of ideas on what software to build first. However, I wanted to build something that we could strike deals with, business owners, whether it be small business owners or large corporations in the States. And so over the past few months, I've been working on building a AI system that automatically it writes articles about your business, product, or brand, and it
Mm-hmm.
publishes those to many different mediums. And then there's a system that does that for social media posts as well, hand tailored to your company, whatever product or service that you want to push. And then we built another system that monitors emails between employees and uh, the HR department, and it logs it, but it also will look for ways to improve morale in businesses. And so that is actually called Polaron Suite. And I just finished setting it up. We're going to be doing a soft launch where people can go ahead and sign up. And what I will then do is start demoing the product for them. I don't have a price point set for it. We're, trying to figure out if we want to go with a subscription base. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually offering with that is if you have a business and you want to try it out, my email is linked in my channel on
Mm-hmm.
the link tree. And I'm basically offering that service to start for free for a little while. So if anyone, if there's any business owners out there that they're trying to get some marketing done, let me know. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to, put these bots to the test that I've been building for so long. So that's really the only thing I'd like to promote. And obviously, once the server is officially live, I'll just go ahead and drop that link on my channel as well.
Well, I want to say this first of all, Eriq. Thank you for your time. I would love to know more about some of the work that you're doing in the Philippines. Let's keep in full on communication, talking about, and you know what? Whatever you're going to do in the future, I wish you nothing but success and all the best to you in your endeavors. And, if there's anybody that can undo the damage that Vitali's done, it's going to be people like you and others like you, not only in the Philippines, but in South Korea and Japan. Thank you for your time. And I think, you know what? it's late there, so go to bed, go to sleep. and all the best to you. Thank you for this opportunity. And for my viewing audience, we can continue on with the rest of our main show. When I clip this interview, obviously, Eriq, I'm going to share it with you on via private message in your email. But also, everyone, the original link to his YouTube channel will be in the description box as well as pinned in the comment section. So please show him some love. And looking forward to more adventures in the Philippines and learn more about all the work that you're doing there, too. So thank you for your time, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're going to continue on with the rest of our main show, folks. So we're going to take a quick short break.